Beneath Spain's wrought iron balconies and cobblestone streets lie voices. They are trapped in objects from the past. When touched, when the sun goes down, they tell their story. Be advised that this is a horror podcast with very adult themes. When I was about 8 years old, I told my best friend, whom we'll call Evan, that I knew how to play poker. I didn't, really. I just had a vague notion from what I'd seen in movies. Of course, I beat him because I made up the rules as I went along. To my advantage, obviously. Meaning I somehow always won. Evan didn't mind that I had beat him, though. It gave him an idea. We could invite other kids to play with us during recess. With my rules, of course, where the house always won. These poker games were a massive hit. Everyone wanted to play. The other kids even started calling me the Poker Master. For several weeks, we were raking in the cash, and candy, and Pokemon cards, and books, and anything else these kids could swipe from home to gamble with. Eventually, the teachers caught on and put a stop to our scam. But not before I learned two important things. The first is that it's scary how easy it is to convince other people you know what you're doing if you do it with enough confidence. In fact, I actually kind of felt bad at first. Wasn't I lying and misleading these other kids? Forcing them to play by my arbitrary rules? Inciting them to steal from their homes just to play some dumb, made-up game? But then, Evan somehow convinced me that the rules I had made up were the actual rules, that I really did know how to play. And the other kids were calling me the Poker Master. So I must know what I was doing, right? And I started to believe that I really did know what I was talking about. And that's the second thing I learned. If enough people with enough faith start to believe in you, you might just end up believing your own crap. Lying to yourself and buying it is scarier than fooling a crowd. Yo soy Samuel. Bienvenido a Spanish Sundown. Hospital in Ávila, 2025. 14.5 kilometers in 1 hour and 16 minutes. Not bad for a run after my late lunch break. Aside from some stomach cramps, which I haven't had in years, by the way, I feel fine. In fact, I feel awesome. It's exactly 4:47 p.m., just like we planned. I have 3 minutes to get up to the 7th floor of the hospital and meet Teo at the showers. Exercise gives you like a high. It's when I get my best ideas. Otherwise, it's like the ideas buzz around outside my head. They flit in circles. But when I work out, I can catch them and cram them inside my brain, get my mind's hands on them and process them, you know? So right now, I'm feeling pretty confident about our plan. I've been going up to the 7th floor of the hospital for the past 5 days. Today is the last, the completion. Teo better be on time. The nurses are smoking right next to the no smoking sign by the entrance. God, I thought smoking was at least supposed to make you skinny. Clearly not. Spain really needs to get back to the Mediterranean diet. I hold my breath when I walk past them and enter the sliding glass doors, relieved to smell the antiseptic when I let my breath out. That signature smell you can find in every hospital around the world. I head toward the elevator and hit the button. The door's open.
Wait, hold the door.
Ah, shit. Dr. Ramos. He's gonna have questions.
Hey, Ramos. Hi, Pablo. You go for another run on your lunch break? You should give it a break, man. You're making all the rest
He
of us
hits the button for the 4th floor, where we normally work together, the children's ward. When the elevator arrives,
Pablo, you coming? What? Oh, no. I'm going up. Why?
I knew he'd have questions.
I'm going to the staff showers. You do know we have staff showers on our floor, right? What? Yeah, I know that. I'd rather go to the other ones.
I don't want to explain why. I don't want to explain that I'm meeting Teo there, and that these showers on the 7th floor are right next to room 719, Mrs. Gonzalez's room, where I've been going for the past 5 days.
Huh. You are so weird sometimes. What do you mean? I don't know. Sometimes you just act so crazy. Anyway, bye.
Do not call me crazy. I punch the button for the 7th floor. As the doors close and Dr. Ramos disappears into the children's ward, I catch a quick glimpse of the room. Carlitos' room. It's been over a year now, but every morning when I see the room he was in, it still hurts like a boxing punch to the gut. Carlitos was 5. He had curly hair, and he liked me to hold his hand, and he gave the sweetest hugs. He was always so excited to see me.
Dr. Pablo!
Carlitos is dead. 5-year-olds shouldn't die. Just like Julita, whose laugh no one will ever hear again. Or little Monica's mother. I still can't get her sobbing out of my brain. Monica's mother sobbed a lot after she died. Ever since the pandemic, we've been running short on staff and resources. I hate that Carlitos died. Especially when other people are such, well, you know what I mean. I think the world is imbalanced. I said before that I have a plan. And I do. To rebalance the world. And here we are, 7th floor, 4:50 p.m. Perfect timing. My stomach still hurts. Cramps normally don't last this long. I had a spinach protein smoothie for lunch earlier, one I'd never tried before. Maybe there was something wrong with it? And my exercise high is dying down. I hate this part. My brain gets foggy and it's hard to think. I start to doubt my plans and even myself. When I get like this, I feel all confused. Because I hate that Ramos called me crazy.
I don't know. Sometimes you just act so crazy.
I'm not crazy. What does he know? What does he think he knows? I do what I do, but I do it in secret. Because other people, they wouldn't understand. They don't understand about rebalance. Am I being paranoid? I walk by Mrs. Gonzalez's room on the way to the showers. Room 719. The one I've visited for the past 5 days. Mrs. Gonzalez, we'll be paying you another little visit later. Right at 5 p.m. Just as I open the door to the showers, 2 nurses turn the corner at the end of the corridor.
Martha, I'll be done with my round in 10.
Right according to plan. I've got time for a 10-minute shower, then we'll have a good 20 minutes before the nurses make their next round. More than enough time to do what we need to do. Everything will work as long as Teo isn't late. I've done all the rest by myself for the past 5 days, but I need him for this last part, the completion. Come on, Teo, where are you? We said at 4:50 p.m. on the dot. I can't see him anywhere. I better not have to do this myself. I shuck my running gear off and stand under the shower head. I keep thinking about what Ramos said.
I don't know. Sometimes you just act so crazy.
I want to go run again. Everything's so much clearer on a running high. Suddenly, a hand smacks my bare ass. I jump.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Teo, you scared the shit out of me. Where were you?
I was enjoying the view.
You asshole.
Teo says I saved his life. Really, all I did was switch out the shot when they were forcing all the other nurses to get it. Teo said he knew his own body and didn't want it, didn't need it. I just fudged some of the records to make it look like he had taken it, and no one from the administration was any the wiser. Teo looks at me and smiles.
You ready to do this? To follow the plan?
Am I ready? I hesitate.
Yeah. I guess.
What do you mean? You guess.
I don't know. Ramos said something and looked at me funny in the elevator. I think he suspects something. Because sometimes don't you think this is all crazy? Like our plan is crazy? Maybe we're being crazy? Like, what happens if we get caught?
Teo looks at me. He's serious. He's glaring. Then he speaks.
Pablo, drop and give me 50.
What? Push-ups? Here in the shower?
Yeah? Do it. Now.
Okay.
My hands grip the wet tile as I start to push my body up and down, flexing my chest and my core muscles. Teo is crouching next to me, and it's only now that I realize he isn't wearing any clothes either.
Do you remember Juanita?
Yeah, I remember. Juanita had type 2 diabetes, but wouldn't stop eating every piece of trash food she could get her sausage fingers on. They kept giving her insulin. No one understood why her levels were still too low. It's because no one saw me entering or leaving her room.
What about Miguel?
I remember him too. Look, I don't care what people do in their bedroom, but when you've come in 3 times in the past 2 months with an STI, I'd say you should have learned a lesson about wrapping it up. It was a mystery why he wasn't reacting to the antibiotics, why he went into sepsis. But not to us.
Do you remember why you did it?
Because of Carlitos. Because he shouldn't have died, and maybe he wouldn't have if us stupid humans weren't creating these superbug antibiotic-resistant freaks. These people don't deserve universal healthcare. We did it to put the universe back in balance. I jump to my feet. I can feel the endorphins coursing through my system. And my head is so much clearer now. Teo's hands grab me by the waist. He knows me so well. How to calm me down. How to make my mind clear.
But still, don't you think it's just a little crazy?
You are one of the most brilliant doctors I know. One of the most brilliant people. And you're hot.
His hands are moving. Down, around.
You're not crazy. You just see the world for what it really is. You're more moral than everyone else. You're definitely not nuts, babe.
Teo's confidence in me is even better than the exercise high. God, I love him. Let's do this. Let's fucking do this. The completion. I pull away from him.
Then, Theo, we have to go. Now's not the time for...
Oh my God, what's wrong?
Nothing. It's my stomach. It's been hurting all morning.
You sure you're okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
I am not fine. In fact, I notice a red rash on my stomach as we put our scrubs and white lab coats on. But I say nothing. I don't want to worry Teo, and we obviously have other things to be focusing on. We go to Mrs. Gonzalez in room 719. We open the door at 5 p.m. on the dot. I get right to it.
How are we doing today, Mrs. Gonzalez? Any better? Teo, would you lock the door?
She disgusts me. The sun is going down, so I draw the blinds on her window. Make sure no one can see into the lit-up room from outside.
I certainly hope you're not doing any better. How many times have you been in here for pneumonia, Mrs. Gonzalez? Since I've been working at this hospital, 2 times? Maybe 3? Look at your yellow fingernails and the nicotine stains on your fingers. I can still smell the smoke in your hair. Can't you, Teo? Oh, yeah, I can smell the smoke. We're just going to change your IV, Mrs. Gonzalez. Teo, on it. Normally, when you change the IV bag, you're supposed to check the expiration date and the contents. But in this case, well, we don't really care now, do we? You're getting worse, aren't you, Mrs. Gonzalez? You can't even talk now. You know why? Because you don't deserve those antibiotics in that IV bag. Did you realize that this is the 5th day I've come to switch out the bag to take those antibiotics away from you? So, sometime around today, you'll start coughing a little more. Then you'll spit up some blood. Your lungs are going to crackle every time you breathe.
I have to stop speaking for a moment. God, my stomach is killing me. Okay, let's finish this. The completion.
So, Mrs. Gonzalez, your lips will turn purple, and hopefully, by tomorrow, you'll have multi-organ failure. And eventually, you'll slip into delirium and then quit breathing altogether. And then...
What the hell is wrong with my stomach? I stop speaking for a moment and pull my shirt up to look at the rash. My skin is moving. Like there's something under it. What the fuck? Teo sees me stop and speaks to me.
Pablo, what's wrong? We need to hurry.
I look at Mrs. Gonzalez for a second. She's crying. I almost feel bad for her. She looks so helpless. But then I hear Carlitos' little voice again.
Dr. Pablo!
Fuck this woman.
Do you understand why we're changing this bag, Mrs. Gonzalez? Because the world needs balance. Selfish people like you are the reason that Carlitos died. Why Julita died. Why Monica's mother had to live without her child.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Damn it! Why is someone knocking on the door? I look at Teo. This wasn't part of our plan.
Who is that, Teo? I thought the nurses already ran their rounds. I don't know. But she can't find us in here. I know that. I'm not an idiot. My stomach. What's wrong? I don't know. My stomach is killing me.
There is something poking against the skin of my stomach, from my guts to the outside. It's not an organ, and it's not a parasite. This is something metal, like a knife. It's stretching against my skin, but from the inside out. What the actual fuck?
Pablo, come on. What's wrong?
I don't know.
It's poking through my skin. It makes a hole like a chicken's cloaca, like a hen laying an egg. It stretches and stretches, and it really burns until a metal cylinder finally bursts out. The tip plops out, then slides through and out of the hole in my skin. After it pops out, the hole contracts and purses back up. But not all the way, because there's another cylinder linked to the first one. The hole opens up again, then contracts. Expand, contract. Expand, contract. Over and over again. And each metal ring burns my skin as it exits. Ow! I take the chain of cylinders coming out of my bloody skin with my hands. It's as long as my forearm now. And when I touch it, I hear voices. They pour into my brain.
Mrs. Gonzalez, is anyone in there? Why is the door locked?
Right as they open the door,
What's going on in here?
I fall to the floor, holding the long linked chain of metal rings in my bloody hands, like a gutted man holding his intestines. The voices have a story to tell. Convent of the Incarnation, Ávila, 1562. Friar Pedro of Alcántara wasn't sure if he should tell her. The parlor inside the convent was dark. He spoke with Sister Teresa through a metal grating. She could never reveal herself to a man, even if Pedro was a friend, a priest, and voluntarily blind. The nun greeted him.
Ave Maria Purísima, sin pecado concebida.
Friar Pedro couldn't see Sister Teresa, but she couldn't see him either. If she could have, she would have seen his jagged cheekbones. They almost cut through the paper-thin skin on his face. Under his hair tunic, some of his ribs did, in fact, pierce the skin. And blood dripped down his gray thighs to his feet, covered in pus-filled sores. She couldn't have seen the secret fear in his heart either.
Thank you again for your assistance, Father.
Friar Pedro had left his hermitage and traveled to Ávila because Sister Teresa needed his help to convince the church authorities. He needed to convince them that she was fit to found a new convent, the convent of St. Joseph, where the nuns would live in the strictest mortification and poverty, the Discalced Carmelites, based on the teachings of Friar Pedro himself.
I am pleased that we succeeded. I hear that construction on the new building will begin shortly. I will base the order's rules on your treatise on prayer and meditation. Think of the hundreds, if not thousands, we can bring to God through your teachings. Will you be continuing your journey to Oropesa as planned, to continue expanding the order?
Pedro faltered for a moment. If not to his friend Sister Teresa, then in whom else could he confide?
My daughter, as I have acted as your confessor, I now have a confession of my own to make. Oh? I'm afraid to continue the journey. There is a demon that has been tormenting me. When I go outside these walls, the demon is there. And what does this demon want? He wants to convince me that I'm mad. He wants to steal my faith.
Sister Teresa could not hide her amusement.
You? Mad? You must forgive me, Father. Remember 2 short years ago, when they said the same of me? That my bouts of ecstasy in the presence of our Lord were ravings of a lunatic. When they doubted my true faith, and even told me to stop praying. When they said I was demon-possessed. Of course I remember. I defended you. I knew you were touched by God. But I sometimes have my doubts about myself.
Under his tunic, Pedro fidgeted with the discipline, the mass of knotted cords hanging from the whip's handle. He always had it there. After a few seconds, Teresa spoke.
Doubt is of Satan. To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne. One day, we will be brought to sit with our Lord in heaven, our reward for bringing the people to God. Then what do you counsel me to do? Go to Oropesa and complete your mission. Rest in contemplation with our Lord. He will protect you. Complete your life's work, for it is also my own. I will pray for you as you continue on your journey toward other lands.
Pedro stood as their conversation came to a close. He caressed the linked metal rings around his thigh, also under his tunic. Sister Teresa's words had reassured him, and she was right. He should contemplate on the Lord, and the Lord would protect him. So, he did as he had done for so many years. He closed his eyes and meditated on God, walking out of the room. And like so many times before, with his eyes closed, he bumped into the doorframe and relished in the pain when he did. He would continue his journey to Oropesa by donkey. Normally, he would walk. He had once walked all the way to Rome, barefoot, for an audience with the Pope. But time was of the essence, and he couldn't walk fast with the skin on his feet hanging in raw shreds. The donkey's name was Lucio.
Let's go, Lucio.
Out on the street, the smell hit him, even through his scabbed nostrils. Tallow candles, sweat, animal dung, unwashed wool, spices and wine and dried meats and raw meat. His donkey splashed into a pool of wastewater, forcing him to open his eyes for a moment. Over the church bells, he saw the soot-stained blacksmith with his leather apron through the dark window to his shop. The meat vendor with his woolen cap and ear flaps tied under the chin.
Vino y jamón, el mejor de Ávila.
The shirtless ox drivers streaked in sweat. People. They were the reason for Pedro's life's work, to bring them to God. For his mortification to set an example. He was not of them, but he was with them, and he loved them. Just thinking of all the sinners who would never know his Lord, who would end up in purgatory, or who would go straight to hell. Riding on Lucio's back, he exited the city through the Alcázar gate and left the massive stone walls as thick as a house, the walls that encircled the entire metropolis, behind him. He said to himself,
I'm not mad. There is a reason for what I do.
And he began to pray
Pater
as they
nostrum,
plodded into the countryside under the overcast sky.
sanctificetur nomen tuum.
In his state of contemplation,
Adveniat
Pedro
regnum
didn't
tuum,
notice the approaching
fiat
demon.
voluntas tua. Sicut in cielo.
He didn't notice much at all because he was falling asleep. His brain was going black. It's difficult to keep one's eyes closed in contemplation, but not fall asleep. If only he were back at his hermitage, with the nail in the wall. That's where he rested his forehead, on the nail, during the 90 minutes of sleep he allowed himself per night. But out here, Lucio's back was so warm and comfortable. He shook himself awake.
No.
Sleep is addictive. You do it once, then you crave more and more. It takes time away from God. Sleep is a temptation from Satan. And then he realized. The scant blood in Pedro's body began to race through his veins. The demon was putting him to sleep. The demon was back.
Where are you, demon? What is your name, that I may rebuke you? In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti.
He began to slur his words at the end of the sentence. It's an odd sensation to be terrified, but so tired at the same time that you physically cannot keep your brain awake. And so, despite the fear, despite his pounding heart, Friar Pedro's chin dropped to his chest. This demon had power. Pedro slumped forward over Lucio as the donkey kept clip-clopping along, totally and completely asleep. A dark, nebulous figure swooped onto the path, its body like blurry, writhing ribbons of black smoke. Wet, rotten ash and sulfur. Its shape shifted so quickly that it had no hands, or it had hands everywhere. It had no legs, or it had 10. It had no head, or its head was its entire body. And suddenly, under the overcast sky, the shapeless demon spun itself into a tunnel of smoke then curled and streamed right into Friar Pedro's sleeping ears. When he woke up, Pedro knew something was terribly wrong.
No. How long did I sleep?
Wouldn't you think something was terribly wrong if another voice answered you inside your own head?
Long enough.
What is that? Who are you? What are you doing inside my head?
You don't need to know my name. Not yet. I've come to give you a little message.
Every time the demon spoke, a puff of smoke blew through Pedro's skull, deadening his thoughts.
I rebuke you, in nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti.
You'll need my name if you want to rebuke me. Otherwise, I can't hear you. Anyway, I came to ask, have you ever considered that you might just be a madman? Who else would mutilate their body like that? Ridiculous. Maybe you're ridiculous.
Quiet!
It was growing harder to think.
Maybe God doesn't even exist.
Quiet!
His brain enveloped in black smoke.
Or what?
Lord, save me!
At that moment, one clear thought penetrated through the haze. The cilice under his tunic. He began to pray.
Miserere me.
Then, he grabbed the metal links beneath his tunic and began to tighten them as much as was physically possible around his thigh. He relished how the sharp metal cut into his skin. The blood trickled out in a warm stream down his leg. It was delicious. It was heavenly. The demon screamed. And Pedro began to retch. Streaming ribbons of black smoke poured from his mouth like a stream of ashy vomit. They morphed into one giant, writhing mass, angrily bouncing and screaming in the air. Pedro smacked Lucio on the rump.
Lucio, go!
And they broke into a frantic gallop.
Run!
As the animal's hooves pounded the ground, Pedro did not need to turn around to know that the writhing black smoke was right behind them. The beast ran and ran, panting, running, crying, until suddenly they came to a gushing river.
Don't stop, Lucio. We have to cross the river.
The river was wider than the length of 30 men lying head to head. Both Pedro and Lucio turned to see the whirling smoke figure tumbling above the ground toward them, getting closer. A sucking noise filled the air, and Pedro felt as if his lungs were being ripped out through his mouth.
I'm sucking your faith away.
Lord, save me!
He pulled the discipline from the rope belt around his waist, then ripped his habit off, standing naked before the demon.
Miserere me, Deus, secundam mano misericordiam tuam.
The demon slid back, surprised by the friar's delicious pain. He whipped his bare bony back again, and when he did so, a bright shining light broke through from the sky. Pedro looked up. Even with his eyes half closed, he saw the beams of sunshine breaking through a hole in the clouds. Celestial. Heaven.
My Lord, I can see your home.
Across the creek, because it really was nothing more than a creek, a farm woman named Marta was tending to her cabbage patch. She was surprised to see a priest. She was even more surprised when he dismounted a donkey, ripped his habit off, stood there as naked as the day he was born, and then began flogging his back with a whip.
What on earth?
She shook her head and kept hoeing her patch. Pedro leapt onto Lucio's back, right before the donkey jumped, its short hind legs propelling both of them as far as it could, almost soaring, its dark fur glistening under the beams of light from the heavens, Pedro's hands clasped in ecstasy. Behind them, he heard the demon scream, then vanish with a poof into thin air. And suddenly, everything went calm. From one instant to the next, they were on the other bank of the river, on the other side. The light from heaven disappeared, all while Sister Teresa's words echoed in his mind.
To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne.
The Lord's home.
Lord, you have shown me heaven's gates, and heaven is real.
Pedro said as he caressed the bloody discipline in his hand. Pedro dismounted Lucio. He took the blanket he used as a saddle and spread it on a boulder. Then he sat, resting his blood-stained, whip-marked naked back against it. The farm woman rubbed her eyes. Was this priest insane? She had seen him thrashing about in the creek for several minutes, whipping his own back.
I rebuke you, in nomine Patris, et Filii.
Only to walk over, dismount right next to her farm, and sit against her boulder. He was almost frothing at the mouth. It looked like he couldn't see her. Were his eyes closed? She could just leave him there. But then she saw Lucio munching on her garden produce. She yelled,
Is that donkey eating my cabbage? Hey, you, donkey, get away from there.
Pedro smiled, enjoying the cool stone against his back. He had defeated the demon. His soul was in communion with the Holy Spirit. Wait, what was that sound?
Hey, your donkey is eating my cabbage.
He couldn't quite make out the outside words in his contemplative state.
I said your donkey is eating my cabbage. Can you hear me?
Marta could put up with many things, even a crazy frothing friar sleeping against her boulder, but not with his donkey eating her cabbage.
I said, can you hear me?
She prodded him with her foot, but Friar Pedro's eyes remained closed. He smiled and mumbled,
Heaven is real. Heaven is real.
She shook him several times, but he still seemed to be rambling in his sleep.
I am not mad. I am not mad.
Marta had had enough.
Not mad.
He needed to be woken up, and she knew just how to do it.
I am not.
She grabbed the blanket between his head and the rock and yanked it away. His head lightly bumped against the rock. It was barely a knock, something that any other human would scarcely even feel. But Pedro, in his emaciated state, began to bleed from his skull as he came to. What little blood he had left in his dehydrated veins began to seep from his body. And just like that, the demon was back. Everything around Pedro turned into a black, swirling, suctioning mess that concentrated into a funnel, then leapt inside his ear. And the demon whispered inside his brain,
I'm back. You're really asleep this time. Your faith means nothing. You wanted to know my name? My name is Dormitor.
Friar Pedro fell into the deepest sleep of his life. And that's when the real torture began.
You didn't see heaven. Heaven doesn't exist. Your entire life.
When they received word that Pedro of Alcántara was gravely ill, he had to cancel his trip to Oropesa. A number of monks went to carry him back by cart to his hermitage in Arenas. They could not see the battle between his mind and the demon. How could they?
God, why have
It was
you
all
forsaken
happening
me?
inside his skull.
No.
Is it true? Has my work been for nothing?
All they saw was his feverish
Will
muttering
I
and
be
frothing mouth.
Forgotten.
It's all a lie. You brought no one to God.
When they arrived back at the hermitage that Pedro called home, he was laid out on a table. A group of monks in dark robes stood in a circle around him. They prayed with serious expressions on their faces. All the while, the demon just kept having his fun.
I'll allow you to wake up now. Just for a moment. Just so you can see their faces. Just so you can see how crazy you are. Look at what you've done to your body. Only a madman.
And the demon flipped Pedro's eyes open, holding his eyelids in place with his invisible smoky fingers from behind the sockets.
Oh, God, no.
Indeed, Pedro was horrified by what his eyes were forced to see. The boils, the sores, the gashes, the dirty cuts, the bones poking through the translucent skin. And he cried out, begging his body for forgiveness for what he had done to his flesh.
No, forgive me.
The demon was so busy laughing that he did not notice that the other friars around the table had stopped their praying.
He's awake. He's awake. He's awake. He's awake. He's awake. Father Pedro, we will continue your work. We will continue your order.
Those were the words he needed to hear. And with them, the heavens once again split open above them. Beams of white light shot down from the sky, and the demon's laughter turned to a shriek. Pedro spoke in a feeble voice.
Then my life does mean something.
And for the last time, the demon was forced from his body, thin tendrils of evil smoke that dissipated into the air around him. Pedro's soul was heaven-bound. His scarred face and chapped lips turned into an ecstatic smile. He saw the throne, the Holy Trinity, and the Virgin Mary wearing her robe and crown, and they were in heaven. He was in heaven. And he spoke his last words.
What joy! They have told me that we are going to the house of the Lord.
You see, he wasn't a madman after all. And so, on the morning of October 18th, 1562, he died. Blood was still trickling from the wound on his head and the cilice around his thigh, until there was no blood left. Psychiatric Penitentiary Center. Unknown location in Spain. Psychiatrist's private office. 2035. The psychiatrist won't quit fidgeting with that pen. Normally, they'd keep all even remotely sharp objects away from us. But she trusts me now.
You know, Pablo, I'm really quite pleased with your progress. Can you summarize it for me, in your own words?
I bet she is pleased. I've been such a good boy. When Teo and I were arrested, they sent us to 2 different institutions. He wrote to me, at first. But in his last letter, he told me he had met someone else and that he was cutting off all contact with me. Something about being a bad influence.
Well, I now understand that I was suffering from moral compromise through romantic attachment. That's right. Go on.
Teo was manipulating me. I was right when I thought our actions were maybe wrong.
That and delusional disorder. You don't know how happy it makes me to finally hear you say that. I know clozapine has its, shall we say, drawbacks, but the weaker drugs really just weren't working. I know.
Believe me, I know. Especially the weight gain. You can see my gut bulging through my shirt. What you can't see is the hyperpigmentation, the shingles left behind on my skin, under my shirt. Shingles. That's what I had on my stomach. I may have been seeing some things, but I really did have a massive, untreated rash on my gut. Who would have told me that one day I'd be overweight? Me, the exercise and nutrition king. I know I know it's not really my fault, it's the medication. But I've learned it just goes to show you can never judge anyone. You really just don't know what they're going through.
In fact, I've got your next dose right here. Do me a favor and take it.
She holds out a paper cup with water and the medicine. I want to ask her to quit clicking that dang pen, but I take the pills and pop them in my mouth, about to take a drink of water and swallow them.
Please excuse me for just a moment. Hello, dear. Yes, what's up? Is everything okay?
At that moment, I notice her purse on the desk, with a pack of cigarettes poking out of it. I glance at her fingers. The index and middle finger on her right hand holding the phone are yellow. You have got to be kidding me. She's involved in her conversation, not looking at me. I spit the pills into my hand, and she's still playing with that damn pen. You know, they really shouldn't leave sharp things lying around. It would be so easy to just grab that pen and drive it into her neck. I can feel the universe screaming for balance. I'd love to hear her gargling blood. But then, I hear her conversation.
Yes, my dear. Have a good day at school and we'll talk later, okay? I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. You have a kid?
Yes, she's 10. I swear she is the sweetest little girl.
Yeah, I bet she is.
Kids deserve to have their parents. I bring the pills I just spit into my hand back to my mouth and take a drink of water. I swallow.
You know, Pablo, you really are doing so well.
Thanks. I feel a lot better too.
I guess I'm just going to have to get used to having a gut. Hola, Samuel here. In the religious environment I grew up in, I was taught that the body was a temple, the temple of God. To drink alcohol or to smoke was to mistreat the temple, and therefore a sin. Being overweight, a state of constant sin. You won't be shocked to hear that eating disorders were rampant, even to the extent of hospitalization. Just the other side of the coin, but the same fanaticism that Pedro de Alcántara suffered from. Two different kinds of obsessions with the body, and with similar consequences. I first saw Pedro de Alcántara at a museum in Salamanca while on a weekend trip with friends. I was struck by the intensity of his gaze, and by the knife scars on his cheek. And I wondered, what is up with that? Well, it turns out that in the mid-1500s, he spearheaded a reform movement within the Franciscan order called the Descalced Franciscans. It focused on extreme poverty, silence, living barefoot, intense contemplation, and self-mortification. By all accounts, Pedro took the mortification thing really seriously. He only ate once every 3 days, slept 90 minutes a night, and constantly wore a cilice that bit into his skin. He also generally walked around with his eyes closed because he was so focused on his meditation, so he was constantly bumping into things. They also said he could levitate and walk on water, so yeah. He had a huge influence on the church and on people in general. When the farm woman accidentally caused the head injury that eventually led to his death, one nobleman was so enraged that he almost set fire to her land. The entire Portuguese court made everyone follow his teachings. This sleep-deprived, water-walking friar, who was always bleeding, was canonized by Pope Clement IX in 1669. While researching him, I saw that tons of people in the Catholic Church still just love the guy today. Teresa of Ávila also reformed the Carmelite order, based on his teachings. Put a pin in Teresa, because we'll be coming back to her in a future episode. She has got a real story. Oh man, she has got a crazy story. I think we've all got a little voice in our head. Call it a conscience, or decency, or just common sense, that tells us when something's not quite right. But if there's one, just one, other voice to drown it out, you might reluctantly go along with some crazy stuff. Like when a crazy nurse who is sleeping with you makes you think vigilante justice at a hospital is a good idea. And then the voices get louder, and you start to believe in it, and then they get even louder, and the groupthink snowballs, and it spreads, and it spreads, and it spreads. Pedro's order fused back in with the other Franciscans at the end of the 19th century, but Teresa's is still going strong. There are around 12,000 of them in 98 countries around the world today. A quick note on the cilice. Following the release of the film The Da Vinci Code, Michael Barrett, a priest with the Opus Dei, which is a Catholic collective that openly practices mortification as featured in the movie, stated that cilices are merely bothersome and could be compared to fasting. They produce no blood or injury or anything that could harm personal health or cause trauma. If the cilice were harmful, the church would not allow it. Maybe times have changed, and the cilice isn't as torturous today as it once was. But the official webpage of the convent that Pedro of Alcántara himself founded provides a description of Pedro. The cilice uncovered parts of the bone, and the rest of his skin was mercilessly flogged twice per day, until he bled and oozed into horrendous, uncurable ulcers, with blood often flowing to his feet. So, make of that what you will. Check out the portrait of Pedro of Alcántara on our social media. Just search for @SpanishSundown. Look at the show notes for the location of the museum. Don't forget to tag the show if you make it there. A big thanks to Simon Jones for the original theme music. Until night falls and the voices speak again, thank you for listening to Spanish Sundown.